print off an agenda. Garrett, this microphone is awfully hot. Is it about right or is it too loud?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. You hear the echo back on?
Mr. Cornett's with us.
Okay, thank you. We're waiting for the official start time.
It's 5 o'clock here. It's 5 o'clock Sunday.
Is that what Mr. Cornett said? I'm trying to think of a preacher to say. When I was a principal in the system, the board chair couldn't get us to stop talking when I stood in the back and do what y'all do. You're not talking today.
That's come a long way.
Yeah, much better, much more improved models. Well, I think we can be here for so we'll call our meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to this very exciting meeting today. Let me just see if there's any discussion or adjustment needed for the agenda. It's a pretty simple, straightforward agenda today. So. All right, well, again, we'd like to welcome everyone that's here. And we have only action, item for action today is in personnel, and it regards superintendent announcement. So may I have a motion regarding the announcement of our superintendent?
Mr. Chairman, I have the motion. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Watauga County Board of Education elect Dr. Leslie Alexander to serve as Superintendent of Schools of Watauga County. And further, that the board ratify the contract that you are authorized as board chair to negotiate with Dr. Alexander on behalf of the board.
Do you have a second to the motion?
Second.
Have any further discussion? Hearing none, would you raise your hand? No, I have to do aye because we have a audio. Yes, so please say aye if you approve the motion.
Aye.
So that was unanimous. So with that, let me ask, and we're going to do a little moving around now, so just bear with us. I'm doing a lot of moving around. I forgot my notes, and for those of you that have worked with me before, you know if I speak off the cuff, we'll be here too long. So I'd like to ask Dr. Leslie Alexander to come and stand by me. And want to say to everyone that it is my pleasure to introduce our future superintendent this evening, Dr. Alexander. Let's all give a warm Watauga welcome. Dr. Alexander, a large number of her family are here, but she will introduce those in a moment for everyone. I want to share a little bit about, this is going to take just a minute, and Dr. Alexander is going to stand here awkwardly beside me. So give her those good Watauga smiles while you stand and wait to make it through. I want to share a little about Dr. Alexander before I turn the podium over to her. When Dr. Elliott first informed us of his intent to retire, we knew it would be a challenge to find a superintendent who would be as successful and effective a leader for our schools as he has been. After the board came to grips with the fact that we had our work cut out for us, we decided our approach would be not to focus on lamenting Dr. Elliott leaving, although we are sad to see him go, but to focus on the opportunity to find the next outstanding leader for Watauga County Schools. Someone who would be able to sustain and add to our success with their own leadership skills. We believe we found that leader in Dr. Alexander. As most of you are aware, we had a series of community and school meetings over several weeks, plus an online survey. We're grateful for the input we received as we developed the leadership profile we wanted in our next superintendent. We're happy to report that Dr. Alexander checks all the boxes that encompass the major leadership skills or experiences we hoped for, plus also meets almost all the secondary categories. Here are just a few highlights of what we learned about her. She loves Watauga County and has wanted to work in our school system for many years. Even though she could very likely be a superintendent, I think it's highly likely, she could be a superintendent in many other school systems. Watauga is the only one she applied for. She was born and spent the early part of her life in Hardin County, Kentucky. I don't think you will mind me sharing that she did not live a privileged life there, and that when she was a young girl, her mother moved the family to North Carolina to provide more opportunity for them. She took advantage of that and earned her undergrad degree from Guilford and advanced degrees from UNCG and High Point. Following those educational experiences, she received her educational specialist and Doctor of Educational Leadership degrees from App State. In addition, several of her daughters and her husband have completed degrees from ASU. Doing her and her time's family in school here is when she also developed a deep interest in and respect for all the communities that make up our county. However, the board isn't just employing her because she loves her county, but also because she has the skills, talent, and experience to be our next outstanding superintendent. She has been successful at the classroom level, as a high school teacher and an elementary media coordinator. She has been an assistant principal in a middle school, successful principal of a career tech education magnet high school, an award-winning principal of a large comprehensive high school, area superintendent of leadership development in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, where she worked with over 200 school leaders in creating effective school practices, served as district liaison to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and the State Board of Education, and is currently the Chief Human Resource Officer in Winston-Salem, Forsyth. Now that's very impressive in and of itself. But these experiences are the surface of what you see with Dr. Alexander. As the board interviewed her on 2 different occasions, the second time in depth, and as we studied the references provided by the leaders who have worked with her, we learned the additional depth and breadth of her knowledge, experience, and compassion. And that all of these she will also bring to the table to continue the tradition of excellence in Watauga County Schools. Now, before I turn the podium over to you, Dr. Alexander, I would like to ask if any of my fellow board members have anything they would like to add before we give you a chance to speak to this group. So,
Mr. Chairman, I knew going into the interview, when we got about halfway through that interview, that we had the person in the room that was going to be our superintendent. But being the senior member of the board, I have been through 2 other interview process for 2 other superintendents. And every question we asked her, she hit it right on the pinpoint. She knew what to say. And we asked her questions in all different categories. And she answered them the way that I would expect someone with the expertise and the experience that she has to answer them. And I am extremely excited to be able to work with her. She is going to make us an outstanding superintendent.
Sure. So I have a great sense of relief right now. 6 months or so ago, it was quite a scary proposition to think of the task that we had before us. It's probably the most important thing a school board does is hire a superintendent to run their schools. And as we went out in the community and went to our schools and met and talked to people, that fear only heightened of picking someone that would be able to do all of you justice and do a good job for you. But now I'm relieved because we had the opportunity to, well, we actually had a very deep applicant pool. I was really impressed with all of our applicants. But Dr. Alexander was, in my estimation, far and away the superior candidate. And so that's the sense of relief. I also have a great feeling of excitement about what we're going to do next. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I would just like to add that I absolutely could not be more pleased with this choice. I'm ecstatic that Dr. Alexander has agreed to work for us. I'm thrilled by her background. She has a broad range of experience. She has an excellent record of achievement in our positions. She has outstanding references from everyone that we spoke to, everyone we heard from. In addition, her personal qualities and her conduct in the interview made it clear that she is the kind of relationship-centered but data-conscious person that we want. She has the broad range of skills and talents we need in this position that those of you in the school system deserve as your leader. So I'm just pleased as I can be to welcome her to this district as our leader.
What about Mr. Cornett? Can he be heard if he has anything else to say?
Couldn't be more excited. I share in the comments that Dr. Fendel had mentioned there. When we began the process, it was we took it very serious, obviously, and just not knowing what to expect. But the applicant pool, once it came in, and we were able to interview the candidates, spend more time with each of you, it became very clear and very obvious. And it was so nice to see that sense of relief in the room after the interview process and after our discussion. And I couldn't be more excited. I'm thankful that you're here. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm excited to see where we go, where we're talking goes from here. So I welcome you aboard.
Thank you.
Well, again, Dr. Alexander, we want to welcome you to Watauga County, and we're excited to have you as our next superintendent. Obviously, you know you have big shoes to fill, but we know you brought your own great set of skills to take us to the next level. And the podium is yours from you too, Dr. Elliott will have some words to say. So thank you.
Good evening. Thank you guys for coming out. I am so excited to be here. I fell in love with this county about 13 years ago when my husband and I started coming up to Appalachian State football games. We would come to all of them. I mean, every single one of them. So you'll learn quickly that he's a little insane when it comes to App State sports. But yeah, so I fell in love with it when we came up to do that. And the way that we would come in, the way we would drive to get here, of course I was interested in the school system because I'm an educator. So I've driven by Watauga High, and I've driven by Parkway, and I'm driven by Hardin Park. So I knew a little bit about that. And then about a decade ago, my husband said, "What do you want for your birthday, sweetheart?" And I said, "Well, let's go to Blowing Rock." And we had such a good time that became our annual tradition. Is my birthday is Halloween, so it's a pretty time of the year up here, trick or treat. So we always came up here to Blowing Rock. So I got to see Blowing Rock School and be in that community a little bit, and we just loved it. And a couple of years ago, we just decided, we said to ourselves, this is where we really want to end up, long term. And so we decided to buy a home up near Bosco. And so that's not that far from Valley Crucis. So when I found out that, they were building a new school there, I took a little trip down that way, check that out. And so when this opportunity became available, I was like, is this possible that this is, this vacancy in this place that I know and love? So I got so excited about it. started really studying up, trying to get to know all the schools. And I remember it was back in February, and I thought, I've been to a lot of our schools, but I haven't been to every single school. So I decided that was important to me, to go to every single school. So I got up about 4 o'clock one Saturday morning, you were still sleeping, and I charted out my, how to get to all the schools I hadn't been to before. And so I started off, I went to Green Valley, had never been out that way before. It's a beautiful space. Drove around the community, and you know how once you learn one thing, then there's something else that comes up that you want to learn. So I was like, why do they call it meat camp? So then I went down a Google rabbit hole on that, and found out that it was a meat packing place from before the Revolutionary War. That's really cool. So then I drove up to Mabel, and I had it in my way, but I didn't have great phone service, so I wasn't really trusting my ways very much. And I was like, I've got to be careful, or I will be in Tennessee if I take a wrong turn. I had no idea how far that was. So that was interesting. And then I went to Cove Creek, and what a beautiful space that is. And on the internet, that picture of Cove Creek, I think, did Board Member Cornett take that picture? It says it's attributed to him. So I seriously thought he probably photoshopped that thing because it was so beautiful. But then you get out there and it really is that beautiful. So that was awesome. And then I ended up getting to go to Bethel. And so I was driving down Bethel Road, or Bethel School Road. Is it Bethel School or Bethel? Bethel School Road. And that when you come out of the valley right there before you get to the school, it's just this picturesque view. And I remember pulling over, and I really wanted to FaceTime my girls so they could see it, but I didn't have phone connection. So I took a picture, and then I drove up to Bethel School, got out and walked around a little bit. It's so beautiful. And then I saw this little general store across the street. And so I went in there, and I didn't tell them who I was. I just said, I'm just trying to get to know a little bit about the community. And the owner told me that he bought the store in 1980 something, and there were these two older guys in their overalls in there. And I spent about 30 minutes. They were telling me about every picture on the wall, all the photo clippings. And then it was so cute because the owner was like, yeah, I got to watch my grandchildren go to school there. And that was just so precious that he was talking about his grandchildren going to school there. And I learned a lot that day. I learned that we have unique and very special schools, and they have their own qualities, and their communities are so proud of them. And that was really meaningful to me to be able to do that. And I also learned that I felt very much at home during those days. As Dr. Childers mentioned, I grew up in rural Kentucky. I spent the first part of my life with my mom and my sister and my brother and my mamaw and my papa and my great mamaw on about 10 acres of land. And it was awesome. We were kind of poor, but I didn't know it. It was just a lot of fun. We'd pick plums and make plum jelly, or we'd run barefoot through the cornfields. And that's kind of how I grew up. And I understand some of the struggles of rural life, but I also understand the deep pride that those communities have. And really, so many of my values and much of my character was formed in a community not much different than those ones I drove through. So I felt connected, and I was really thankful for that. I do know that to really know a community, though, it takes more than driving over their campus and Googling, internet facts. To really know a community, you have to spend time with people. You have to hear what they're proud of, and you have to hear what their hopes and dreams are for their future. And you do that through listening and relationships. So I've got a lot of listening and a lot of learning to do, but I am so excited about being able to do it. I'm just truly thankful for this opportunity, and I feel a deep sense of gratitude. I'm thankful for my family. Okay, y'all gotta wait, I want to introduce you. My mama on the end, she was a first grade teacher and an EC teacher. She dedicated her life to public education. My husband, Kenny, over here, he works for Truist, and fortunately, Watauga is an area that he works in, so he's very familiar with this area too. We have our second oldest daughter, Michaelyn, and she went to ASU. Our youngest daughter, Elena, Trader, she's going to Charlotte. No, and then there was Marissa, and she's Elena's best friend, but she was also one of my high school students, so that was fun. And then Allie, our oldest, is in Portland. Sarah is in Charleston with her husband Ben, and Mary and Cliff are in Charlotte. So that is us, and I'm really thankful to them for being here with me. I'm also thankful to our board for giving me this opportunity. Board Chair Childers, Vice Chair Combs, board members Ashcraft, Fenwick, and Cornett. I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm going to do my very best to make you glad you chose me and make sure that we keep moving in a really good direction. I'm also super thankful for Dr. Elliott and the way that he has led and loved this district and has left us in a place where we are well positioned to move forward. And I'm also excited that he's going to continue to be in this community as a parent, and I know he will be a trusted colleague. So I'm excited about that and the work that we have to do. I just want you to know that I believe deeply in public education, and I believe that as public educators, we have an opportunity to truly shape the lives of the future generation, and I cannot wait to do that together as a team. So I look forward to getting to know you, and I just really appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander. Dr. Elliott is going to share a few words with us now and maybe some giving.
Just a few words, because I definitely want this to be about celebrating Dr. Alexander, but welcome on behalf of a wonderful community that loves its schools and wonderful colleagues, teachers. We have assistant principals, directors, principals, law enforcement partners, some of our students who are here, parents who are here, colleagues with the university, former Board of Education members. I saw Mrs. Reese here, Caldwell Community College. I'm going to leave somebody out, but this is a community, and they love our schools for all the reasons that you just mentioned. So we couldn't be happier that you are here. I was saying to Dr. Alexander yesterday that I don't know the stage of life to compare this to, but for those of you who've had children go on to college or maybe get married or have a baby, that's sort of how I feel right now. So I just couldn't be more proud than I am right now of our school system and of our board and of their decision. And I'm just so thrilled and happy and optimistic for the future of this community and our schools under your leadership. So thank you. I think that getting up at 4 a.m. is a great start. And several of us were probably thinking, now which of the 4 ways did you get from Maple to Maple? We'll do some touring around, and I saved some of the special routes for people, but I'll also show you. I took the state superintendent on some that were gravel, but I'll show you those as well. And the next time you see Mr. Lawrence at Stone Mountain General Store, we'll get you a bologna sandwich. You're already off to a fast start in getting to know people and understanding what makes this such a very special place, and you're gonna fit right. So, just a couple of things on behalf of. Is David here?
Oh, they asked me to tell you he was picking up his daughter, and if he wasn't here for you to take care of.
Okay. Well. So on behalf of the community, the business community, and the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce, which for a few more days I am a member of that board, the business community and the community at large would like to give you this welcome gift of items to thank you and welcome you to our community. When you stand here and get something from me, you have to have your picture made. So. But there's more.
Oh,
Yes. So, my wife recently commented that she wondered if I had any non-Watauga clothing. And so we asked today folks who might wanted to contribute some things. We have some things for both you and your family. So you will enjoy all of your Watauga wear, and there will be a lot more than this, and you will be so proud to be wearing it. And there's more. So it doesn't always snow in Watauga County. Sometimes it rains. There's an umbrella for you. And sometimes the sun comes out and you'd like to have a nice picnic. And here is, and it also has some stuff inside of it there. And, yep, when you come to a football game on Friday night,
All
bring your umbrella.
right. Ready to go.
And you'll be ready to go.
Ready to go.
All right. And there's more. And because we know that in Watauga is a family affair. We have some items for your family as well, so that wherever they go, they'll have a little piece of Watauga and gifts to go with them. So just know that we are so happy and thrilled that you're here.
Thank you.
And this will very quickly become home, and you'll feel like you've been here forever, and you inherit a wonderful team of people to enjoy this experience.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. I forgot to mention one thing. Dr. Alexander is now officially our superintendent-elect. And as such, she will be working with Dr. Elliott for a few days before she becomes officially superintendent on July 1. And in these important responsibilities of being part of the selection of the leadership team, Watauga High School principal and other positions. And again, we're very grateful that Dr. Elliott will be with us for some period of time after the 1st of July to continue this transition plan. And Dr. Alexander has said she sees that as a blessing, not an impedance to have that kind of opportunity. I want to encourage all of you, if you would like, to stay when we adjourn and say hello to Dr. Alexander and to her family. I know our principals are extremely excited to meet you, and I wish we could have done what they asked for. We would have a special meeting with you, but I explained to Mr. Succo that it was very difficult. We were scheduling on the fly as of late Friday about when we might be able to do this today. So we were not able to specific. Will I get you in trouble, Pat? It was.
I went 25 minutes without calling you out.
I thought she meets me.
We know you can handle it. So anyway, I think Dr. Alexander has made plans to stick around a little while and meet some folks. Let me just ask if there are any other comments from board members before we ask for a motion to adjourn. All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming.